to know where you have been and why you're not coming. She said, I know, we gotta find the time to get up there. I'm like, I told her. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. My name's Marcelo.
Marcelo?
Yeah.
I'm Mitzi.
Mitzi? Nice to meet
Mitzi.
you. Mitzi.
It's a strange name.
Yeah, mine too. So.
Where you from?
A lot of places. Lately, Indiana was the last place I was.
Okay. What you doing here?
I just like it down here better, and my brother's down here, so.
Who's your brother?
Huh?
Who's your brother?
His name's Marcus.
Okay. Marcus and Marcelo.
Yeah, I'm the youngest out of 6.
Oh, wow.
My last
Okay.
name's Figueredo.
So we tried to do the all-ins, but we couldn't agree with one of them, and I feel so bad because she's the only R.
Oh, yeah?
Everybody's M's but her.
Yeah, Marcelo, Marcus, Michael, Marisa, Monica, and Marcus.
Okay.
Not the baby.
That's a tongue twister.
It is. My last name's Figueredo.
Wow. So how long have you been here? Have I missed you?
This is my second time here. I was been here on Wednesday. I came not last Sunday, but the Sunday before.
Okay. Well, welcome.
Yeah.
So you've moved down for good.
Oh, yeah. As far as I know.
Okay. Hey, Abby. This is Marcelo.
Hi.
This is Abby.
Nice to meet you.
Abby. Nice to meet you. How's it going? It's going good. Yeah. Yeah, I feel a little more. I chocolate all the way here. I need some more energy because I need to wake up a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, that's how I've been feeling all day. Like exhausted. I don't know if it's just the humidity. I don't know. For a minute there, when after it rained, I felt good. And I was like, it's cool down. And then it was like, yeah. Back in. Yeah. Yeah. How's your visit with your family?
So good. It was so much needed. I didn't realize how much.
How long were you able to stay?
I stayed I got there at like 7-ish on Friday.
Okay.
And stayed until about like 4:30 on Monday.
Oh, nice.
It was a good few days. I was like very much needed.
We had Megan come back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so that was so nice. It was insane.
I just looked at 2 pictures.
Yeah, and just even being. Just being.
That's how we were. I was like, the one thing I want to do is I want to go see my little cousin.
Yeah.
And he wanted me to go swimming with him. He's almost 2, and so he's
Like,
yes, he's like gotten to the age where he finally like recognizes me and knows my name.
It was hot in here on Sunday. I'm actually glad the air is working.
It's technically my cousin's baby, but he'll call me like Abby, but everybody that he meets is Abby. And so I'm like, this is so special.
Yeah. That's very special.
Yes, I'm gonna spend some time with him and then just kind of hang out with his dad. It was very nice,
very sweet. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, Megan and I were talking about that. It's just, it's nice to kind of come back to your child.
Yes.
Oh,
I got my kids fed on Friday.
How do you get your teeth done?
Yes, they said they were doing that tonight. So
Okay.
I felt better. How's your class go?
Good. I passed. I got confidence. And I ran by, and Richard Salter's on our floor. So I ran in and said hello to him. Yeah. To what?
How was the feeling?
Oh, he's good. He was talking. Yeah. He's got some left-sided weakness. I asked him to raise his arms for me.
But his speech was all right.
I could understand him. His nerves had a hard time. But since I know him, I could understand him. So I had to talk with him, had him do a few things for me. And then, yeah. So. Did you have your Zoom? Tomorrow. Okay. I'm here back on Friday. You have to tell me.
Okay.
I'll try and find out. Well, actually, we can just Google. You know, I'm still going to call John and find out how we got from that restaurant from the 20th.
You think he'll remember that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He goes all the time.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
tell you I had to ride a longboard Sunday.
Oh no.
Uh-huh.
It
was ugly too. It was bad.
I'm so sorry.
I felt bad for everybody in this room.
No.
I'm not sure they could read it.
So, where my mom goes to church, they have been doing these books too.
Nice.
And they did, I think they're on the Beatitudes right now or something.
Oh,
but
we
I
did the
still did
Beatitudes.
this one, and I was like, you have to do this one next. It's so good. So,
Good.
I'm like, I forget what the other one was that we did while I was still living there.
I think a Beatitudes class, we did a Beatitudes one for the women's Bible study.
Oh, building up one another is what we did the last time.
Oh,
But it was
okay.
really good.
Okay.
We did that in the first quarter.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yep.
But I recommended this one. I was
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
you gotta do this one. It's good.
Yeah, yeah.
I have a proposition for you after we get out of class.
Read now, Alan, I got a chance.
I think you'll like it. I think you'll like it. It's not bad. Well, we're light. And I know it's Wednesday and people walk in the door a few minutes behind, so let me take a picture. Okay, I don't think it's going to change
First
anything.
Cindy are still out of town.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. So that just means I need all y'all to, you got to help carry me. Come on now. We're going to start on page 56 of our book, by the way. 56 and 57, we're going to be there. So we're going to talk about those.
Yeah, sure.
We had a visitor on Sunday, and I think we gave him our last one. So sorry. I would give you mine, but the class is going to be. I wrote in it. I need it. But I will hit you a chapter verse too. So how about that? Hey, can I get you to lead us in prayer? You mind?
Yeah.
All right. Let's pray real quick.
Dear Heavenly Father, we're so thankful for this day and this time of worship that we have together. Help us to take what we've learned here and apply it to our lives. Help us to tell others about Jesus. Keep us on the righteous path. Help us steer clear of sin. Help us to do the right thing. Help us to make better decisions. Help us to help others. And forgive us. We pray.
Amen. Thank you. And you know what? If y'all will forgive me, my work day started at 6 this morning. I went straight to PT afterwards, and I came here, and I've been here ever since. And I am going to sit down and talk with y'all because we're sort of a close-knit group here this afternoon or evening. And it just seems like it'd be a little more homey than me standing out lecturing and doing that. So let's just talk. All right, so on page 56, and by the way, just to recap, I choose to stand, right? And on Sunday, for those who weren't here, we talked about that we have conviction standards, morals, codes of ethics. We talked about what are the traits of good people, right? There's a lot of good stuff out there, but then we also talked about
You stop in the waters and storms.
right.
I mean, you could have 40 men coming after him. That's nothing. But then he does what he does. And Peter's thinking, he's like, oh no, this is not what I thought. And now he becomes very fearful because I don't know if he's afraid of dying. He was just so confused.
It would have been a wild time to be there. I will say that it would have been crazy. And so, but I was just that's those two stories have always been in my head, and I've always wondered about them. And then I was sort of curious. So that had to be a really uncomfortable situation for Peter, right? What uncomfortable situations do we have? What are things that, I mean, what makes you all uncomfortable, and would make it where you would have hesitation maybe about standing for the word? Because it's probably happened. I would think it's happened to me. I would think it's happened to other people, right? What situations. I mean, let me give you one. I was on a midnight shift with a fellow worker of mine, and we have been talking, and he wants to talk religion. This is a golden opportunity. I have to work with this man for the next 20 years. I'm sitting there in my head, I'm balancing all that out. I'm going, okay, if this goes badly, I have to work with this man for the next 20 years, right? How's that going to go, right? In my head, I'm just sitting there going, you know, this may, and we've been really good.
Of things I'm fearful of, and that's the fear of any number of things that can go wrong in that situation.
Right. I understand.
That's why we're told not to be bold and not to be cowards. Stand like a man.
We have to believe it, right? Where's our faith? And maybe that's part of the problem when those things shake us, is maybe we need to stop, we need to look at self-analysis, look at ourselves and go, okay, maybe my faith is not as strong as it should be. I get that, right? And I had to do that after that night. And I almost looked at myself like that was sort of cowardly. It really was, right? And it took me a couple of years to get through all that and figure it out and everything, and then I went back and I made sure to address everything. And I actually apologized to him. I was like, you know, what if something would have happened to him in those 2 years? How bad that would have been, right?
Was he willing to talk to you then?
Yeah, we did. We talked, and you know, the really cool thing was, now, don't misunderstand this. I planted the seed, and maybe one day it will work, and he's still alive, and we're still friends, right? But he heard me out. He listened, and he's like, "Look, I can respect your beliefs because they're not mine." Yeah, and we just said, and everything was fine. And everything that I was afraid of, like most times, was way overblown and way over, you know, I feared the worst, and it wasn't nearly anything like that. So, how many times has that happened to everybody in here? You're like, okay, this is going to be tragic and devastating, and then it's like, not a big deal. It's like a speed bump, right? So, but I don't know. Yeah, that was a growing curve, right? I think I was probably about 32, 34 at that time. It's been a minute. So, all right, Missy, I respect you, and you've always struck me as a lioness.
I always think that
What shakes you?
if we would be more like Jesus and ask questions, like, well, that's interesting. You know, what makes you believe that? Where's your basis for that? And, you know, just have them question themselves and find it. But I would say time. My thought is always, I don't know if I have time to stop and go through all this with them. I think, unfortunately, it's time.
It is.
I need to make time.
It's valuable. And you don't have to cure the world's problems in one night either.
No.
I mean, if you can get a good intro going and pique a little curiosity and like, hey, well, we got a midnight shift next week. Let's continue, you know?
But I think
Well,
asking questions makes them go, I don't know. I need to find out why I believe that. Or, you know, just add in the tone, the way you ask them, your tone.
It's huge.
And being curious. You're going, oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Well,
And then, you know, just kind of making it a two-way instead of you acting like you're judging and lecturing and telling them, but more of a kind of give and take.
no, I'm with you, and I think one of the huge things is, I know when I went back to him a couple of years later, I said, hey, before we start this, I need you to know one thing. You're my friend. You're always going to be my friend. Love you to death, right? Please understand, I only want what's best for you, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and I'm not your judge and jury.
Yeah.
I told you, I said, I'm not your judge and jury. I have some concerns, and I love you too much not to say anything.
Yeah.
Right? And I said, I need you to take it with that kind of understanding, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, he looked at me like I was about to tell him he had cancer. You know, he was like, okay, you know, all right, no, we're friends. I get it, right? We're all right. I said, well, no, seriously, I have something really serious I want to talk to you about, and I just want you to hear me, right? And just understand that I love you now, I love you after, right? It's okay. I just need you to understand. I just want you to hear me. And I'm afraid if I don't tell you that I'm gonna have to answer for that one day, and I need you to know, right? And then I had chapter, Bible verse, and all that, right? So, but I walked away from that conversation the first time, right? So, in time, I get it. You're sitting there going, okay, if I start this, I'm gonna be here for at least the next 2 hours. Do I really want to be here for the next 2 hours? And then we get selfish, right? We're just selfish with our time.
I think it's just hard when you're at work because you have a job to do.
True.
And so that is kind of a balancing act, you know.
Yeah, I would say work is it's a lot easier to show people who you are than right. Set the example, right? And they'll usually seek you out if they're interested, and that's sort of, I mean, in this case, that 2 years before, he was the one who sort of brought up, and I was like, okay, do I really want to go down this road, right? Because I knew some of the answers weren't going to be favorable for him, right? And I was just like, okay, no, I really don't. And then I backed away, and then I felt really bad for a couple of years about it. Every time I saw him, I was sitting there going, wow, I can't believe I'm doing that, right? And then I changed all that. So I felt better about at least me. I did. I number one, I didn't feel like a coward now, right?
It does give you more ability to stand up and make it easier the more you do it.
It does. So.
Give you confidence, you learn from your mistakes, you tweak what you do, how you approach people.
What about young folks? What makes you uncomfortable?
I was just thinking, I was like, I feel like I haven't lived a lot of life yet, but especially like at my age and being single and dating, I feel like that is interesting, and like it's sometimes hard to like stand firm in your face because you know that there's always a possibility of being judged for not partaking in things that people my age do, you know? Like I feel like that is challenging, and I can see why like others may not date Christians because of that, you know, like they don't want to be judged for not partaking in certain things that the world partakes in, and it's even harder whenever your emotions get involved too. Like if you really like someone but maybe they're not a Christian, and then they find out that like you are, and that, you know, that's going to dictate your life, and then they may not want you anymore or whatever. I feel like that has been difficult, but this fear, like, I may not be it now, but whenever I was younger, I was extremely shy. Like, would not talk to anybody. And it was extremely scary to me to confess my faith for Jesus, because I, like, knew I had to do it in front of all these people and people that I maybe didn't know or whatever, and that held me back from getting baptized for a while just because of the fear of it. And, like, I knew I wouldn't be rejected publicly, but it's still scary.
It is. No, I get that. Yeah, and hopefully we get better as we get older, right? And so, not building up our treasures here on this earth, right? That's an easy verse to read and to hear, but it can be actually hard to apply.
I just heard one today from Jim DeWeese. He was telling me that he talked with Dan King and talking about someone that's taking a stand for herself. He said that Berkeley came to Dan and Kelly. Couldn't think of it. And he said, "Can I talk to you?" And they said, "Yeah." They were like, "Oh." He said, "I'm thinking I want to quit football and I want to finish up this school year being homeschooled. He said the people that this new school, he said they all the players, he said all are cussing, and they're all involved in sex. And he says, he said it's starting to affect my walk with Christ. And so he said, I want to just, and so that's what he's going to do now. That's impressive for a young person to be able to see that. And I know he likes football.
Yeah. No, Berkeley's a good young man, right?
Yes, he is.
He is, and I wish and pray nothing but the best for him. But I also wonder if, do not take this the wrong way, people. I'm not trying to tell the teens what to do with their kids. They need to do what's best for them and their family. I'm not saying that, but there's also a part of me that goes, you need to stay and make a stand, right? Because no one there's going to change if all the good people leave, right? What hope do the bad ones have?
I think, Eric, that's a balance. So it's like,
it is. And you got to
now,
know your children and what they need and what they can handle. And so again, please do not misunderstand this. I am not judging. I am not telling anybody what to do with their kids. I'm still having trouble handling my own. So it's like, that's not what I'm trying to do. But there is a part of me that goes, we got to stand, right? At some point, and I think everybody at some point, if you get back in a corner hard enough, everybody stands, right? Most people don't crumple and just fall. And most people will, if you tick them off enough, if you put them in a bad way, you put them in a corner and there's no way out, most people will stand, right? And they'll fight. It's just what takes you to get to that point. So we need to stand. I mean, and we got, I listen to, again, like I said in the beginning, I listen to talk radio and I listen to podcasts and I listen to all this stuff and blah, blah, blah. And I hear people that are spouting about politics and about sports and about this and that, and they're making their stands, man. It's really cool when someone does that about their spiritual life, right? And Christ and God. We need to get where we're willing to do that there as willing as we are everywhere else in our life. And I think it's harder for us. Maybe it's just what we're not used to. I don't know. Maybe I know there's hesitation to it to a degree, right? And the people there are no hesitations, I truly admire. I just sit there and look at them and go, you go. I'm all for you, right? And so, and I think that's great. I really do. But when I was reading through this, I was sitting there, and of course we go back, and I kept reading over Peter, going back and forth between Gethsemane and how his stand changed, and I was going, well, what makes our stand change, right? What makes us be able to stand one day but not the next? And so maybe it is just confusion, and your circumstances in your outside world have changed a little bit, or you don't understand, and that causes fear. And we all like our comfort zones, right? And it's a lot easier to be bold in your comfort zone than it is to be bold outside of it. I will say that, right? It's a lot easier for me to be in my household preaching and teaching than it is to go to work and be preaching and teaching. I know how it's going to go over at home. I have no clue how it's going to go over at work, right? So, anyways, but yeah, I was just. And I'm sorry, guys. I've been looking over here, talking everything. Did y'all have anything? I didn't want to miss you.
I would just say, in the workplace, over time, I'm not talking about a group of 10 coworkers or 12, but if you're in a group of 3 or 4 coworkers and y'all are having lunch, over time, that's one of the conversations you avoid is the religion. You typically stick to the sports, the weather, stuff like that. But I think over time, received versus the other. I haven't had anybody say, let's not bless the food. I'll say that, but just having that, and so that kind of opens the door. Most people know religion and Jesus, and I would just say, yeah, don't be afraid to say that. I haven't had anybody say, but I kind of knew the backgrounds of people that I go to lunch with.
Right.
But having the, just, hey, because it makes me, we get the food and we don't pray. That's not normal. If you're used to praying, yeah, if you're used to praying when the meal comes, and that kind of that's always stuck with me.
I like the fact that it opens an opportunity.
It does.
It presents a door, right? And so, and you want to hear something funny? At least I think it's funny. And don't judge me on this one, all right? Hear me out. I'm not a big fan of praying before we eat every time, right? I wanted to teach my kids something. I was like, hey, we're not praying to be seen. I mean, we don't do this. It isn't supposed to be just, this is when we do it, right? So we do it every single time, right? I said, now, if you truly feel the need that you need to pray for this and do it, let's go, right? But what I don't want you to do is I don't want this to become common fare. I don't want this to become that we just do this because we're about to sit down and eat. I don't want this to be just repetitive in nature with no meaning, right? And so I'm not a huge guy on it. I'm just not. But what I am huge on is my daughter comes to me and she has a problem, and I'm like, okay, you know what? We need to get God involved. Let's have a prayer. Right? Let's talk to God. Let's get Him involved in this. Right? Now, there's a need. Right? Or something really great happened to her. Hey, did you thank God? Let's go to God and let's thank Him. Right? Let's remember, do that. But there's nothing wrong with praying before you eat. I'm not saying
we can pray anytime.
You can pray anytime you want. Matter of fact, the more prayer,
the better.
Yeah, the fervent prayer man availeth much. Let's go, right? But I like the fact you do it with your coworkers or the people you eat lunch with, because it does open a door, right? It shows them what your priorities are. It shows them who you are as a person. It shows them that they can come to you and they can probably talk to you about spiritual things where they're probably thinking it makes them more comfortable to come to you, right? It does do that. It makes them, they're like, you know what? This guy cares about spiritual things. He showed me that. And so now I can come to him and I can, I could actually talk to him about that. And that would be cool. I love that fact, right? I think that's a blessing, right? That I'm all about that in the biggest way. So on page 57, and before I go, did you have anything you want to throw in? Are you good?
I'm good. The only thing I would add, and he made me think about what he said, praying in front of coworkers for meals. The other thing I do a lot is if things come up, in the evening, oh, can you stay and do this? Wednesdays I always tell them, I'm sorry, I'm going to church. So that's another way I kind of get the conversation going. They know that, Wednesdays
you just set your priorities, right? You stood on your priorities, and you stood that your church priorities are more important than anything else.
It's kind of like what he was saying, you throw things out like, oh, I did this over the weekend with church friends or whatever, and then, they know Wednesdays I'm at church, so
right.
It kind of gets the message out, but it's not overwhelming or overbearing, it's just a comment.
Yeah, I love that. That's good. Anybody else have anything before we move on? Good. All right, here we go. So on page 57, the next page over, it talks to, I choose to stand by. And by the way, going back to the bottom of page 56, I did like this. If you're going to be a follower of Jesus Christ, you must be willing to stand. You must be willing to fly the flag of your faith, regardless of what others think. Living for Jesus means that you must have conviction, fidelity, grit, loyalty, and courage regardless. It is something about which you must be passionate and unashamed. I love that. But on the next page, it talks about spreading my salt. Matthew 5:13 through 16. Does anybody want to read that? Matthew 5:13 through 16? If you don't, I'll read it. Go for it.
You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled by men. You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before men, that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven.
Love that. How do we let everyone see our light? What are things we do? And then, on the other hand, how do we hide our light? What are some things we might do that would hide our light? And he gives some examples here, right? So, all right. Understand that these are examples, right? Think about it just for a minute. And tell me the dangers or the pluses. Maybe his dangers are not your dangers. I need to know, right, what you're thinking here. But if you go down to 2, it says, what happens to our salt when we go to Hooters or similar places where we are tempted to do the very thing Jesus said not to do? We spend time at a public pool or a water park where others appear in various stages of undress. We watch TV shows or attend movies that glamorize adultery and homosexuality, and where profanity is rampant. We engage in social drinking in order to be accepted and appear sophisticated. These are all things that this writer believes hides our light, right? I will tell you this. I saw something really cool the other day. It was this preacher, and he was talking to a group. And he said, if you walked in Sunday morning and your preacher got up in front of you and he took God's name in vain, what do you think your congregation would think? So if Lee got up and he took God's name in vain in front of the whole congregation, what do you think our congregation would think? What do you think they'd do? And then he did it again. They did it a third time.
Well, for one thing, it totally takes your opinion of the truth he might be speaking, then I couldn't take any credence.
I agree with that. Let's say he did that. Let's say he took God's name at least 3 times in vain, right? And let's say then he was cussing from the pulpit. Let's say that he talked about homosexuality and that wasn't a big deal. It was all right. Would you be at church here the next Sunday? I wouldn't. Would you?
Well, most likely he wouldn't.
He would be, that's right.
No. Hear me out.
Okay.
Right? Hear me out. If that happened, right? You wouldn't be here the next Sunday, would you?
No, I'd be here, but me and you would shut him down.
Yeah, we would. But I'm just saying, most people in this congregation would not be here.
If
Right?
it wasn't addressed, yes.
Right.
Yes.
But yet people will go out on a Friday and Saturday night and they'll go to the movie theater and they'll actually pay for it and it's entertainment. And they're coming back. But you won't do that here. But you'll do that there. I'm not saying you personally. This is a generalization. But people do it all the time. In the form of entertainment, they will go do that. They will subject themselves to that, right? But you would never, ever subject yourself to that here. So how do we hide our lamps? Just a thought, right? I saw that and I went, wow, that's so true. I didn't even think of it that way. But that is so true. So I'm sorry, I talked way too much.
No,
And
great.
yeah, I apologize. Thank you for your comments.
Hopefully Taylor McPherson will be picking it up on Sunday. He's scheduled.
That'd be great. Thank you. So I didn't know if you knew that or not. I don't know how she was alive. It felt like Mitzi goes back there with nobody. She probably don't feel uncomfortable.
One time thing.
Okay.
But I did go up to one of our doctors. His name is David Platt, and I said, "Hey,
Our preacher.
our new preacher is David Platt. I followed you."
Right?
And he said, "Oh, where do you go?" And I said, "East Shelby Church of Christ." And he said, "Oh, I grew up church." He said, I'm Church of Christ. And he said,
You're like, come
he
on.
said, matter of fact, he's probably related to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you tell me he was from Houston, Texas?
Yes. And he said, my grandpa, he said, my grandfather, grandmother, great-grandfather, great-grandmother, whatever, they had 12 sons,
One other Sunday.
12 children. And he said, yeah, my grandfather was one of the Pratt brothers that used to do the tent meetings, and they're hard associated with gardening or whatever. And it was just a whole discussion. And I was like, wow.
Hey, thank you for your comment.
I was like, I know you
No,
were great.
yeah, you did. I really appreciate it. So,
But,
thank you.
yeah.
Well, you know, I was sitting there, I didn't say this or something.
Great.
Don't be
No,
afraid.
I wasn't afraid. I'm doing this class or trip, and